Okay, got a partner. Got knee issues or anything else like that, just go over us. Everybody else will come here. Boom. And I'll come here. He'll go. So, nice and low. Boom. Here. So let your back touch, don't fall on them, just touch, and then go. Whoosh, and then we'll switch. Your turn, Mr. Athlete, let's go. Yeah. One more time this way. If you need to, watch me. Go ahead, go ahead. You can kind of give a little lift there. Whoosh. All right, let's go. Close with the hands, close. Close with the hands. Oh, there you go, Poiner. Hands are not way out here. You don't want your hips to fall. So look how close my hands get here. Go. Resetting it. Yeah, good. Stay stable, right?
Not quite.
Yeah, back. Yeah, that's fine. Land with stability. Land with stability. We're going to grab the near side, not the far side. Let your head go over, and then come back. So duck your head. Don't reach too far underneath. We're much more closely aligned to the rib cage. Head over. Bridge the back. You can be on your toes. Use your arms in coordination to pull yourself back over. All right, let's go. Yeah, stop. Ready? This again, you don't have. Everyone see this seam in his gi? Yes. About there is fine. You don't have to dive in too far underneath here. So right at the rib cage here is just fine. Okay, go. Arch your back. Sit there in that arch for a second. Open feet. I'm teed off with him. High collar grip. Sleeve grip. Step, step. Tsurikomi. 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 Everyone hear that contact? Yes. Hip touching, the entire side of the body touching. All the way down. And then once you get here, all the way back with the other person. All right, let's go. Think about having a jaw right in your spine and squeeze that jaw so it stays, it holds there. Not this way. This way. This way. Pinch right in here. Go. Step, step, pull. Step, step, pull. Want full contact along the side of the body. Push. At the very end, please get a side view for a moment. So this is going to be less okay, but not exactly what we're looking for. Everyone see this? See this?
Yes.
A little better. This. So at the end, I'm going to just insert, activate the glute and the hip, so we're touching there. So we can get good contact for a nice throw here a little bit. Okay, Hajime. Connect that right hip. Make them tall, guys. Get them on their toes. Get them on their So I want to spend a good bit of time today on Uchi Mata. Most of you are well versed with Uchi Mata. Some of you have never done Uchi Mata before. If you've never done it before, no big deal, you'll be introduced to it. If you have done it before, I want you to try very, 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 very hard to kind of wipe the slate clean. Kind of approach it with beginner's mind, or shoshin in Japanese. And I'd like to start it with really perfection of the tori's positioning and the tension of the body, the root movement, which will be applicable to Osoto Gari and Harai Goshi, and of course Uchi Mata. Frankly, even as a teacher, I'm experimenting a little bit with how I want to approach it, because there's been some recent issues with Uchi Mata, and I'm being honest, I'm going to go back to old school the way that I was initially taught it before too much stuff got put in there. So we're going to start fresh. So most of you have done this wall exercise where we back step, throw the leg up, head comes down. Yes? Step, step, step. So it's a 3-step process. 1, 2, back step deeply, 3. So we're just going to begin with that along the wall. Okay? You may have to take turns with your partner, and then we're going to come back and kind of dissect that a little bit more. But I want it to be a controlled movement. So nothing where the head is dropping, legs bending, and making you fall. None of that. Very, very controlled. 1. The wall is just there for a little bit of sensory feedback, but you are not falling into the wall. The wall is not holding you up. This footwork pattern is going to become important. 1, 2, massive back step in, 3. Okay, just try that a few minutes and we'll talk. The leg closest to the wall is the one coming up. Clearly, the online dojo is not a full success. Okay, let's start with one side. Back step, leg up. Return to Shizen Tai, natural posture. Just go. No. Okay, Hajime. 7 hands to look. The left hand, which would be the Hikite hand, the pulling hand, will no longer touch the wall. So as opposed to going this way, we now want the scapulas to touch a little bit. Okay? And it's very important in this motion that everything from your heel to your thigh, your glute, all the way up has tension. So if she's my partner, go ahead and just do that solo. And then let's actually turn. Do your best to hold there. I actually want to come up to her and feel. Does that feel like a lunge lady leg? How about the glute here? So none of this. That's good. None of this rounded shoulder stuff where the head collapses. Okay. So in the same way that I'm going to do that one more time. I'm sorry. So in the same way that I just did that with her, you're going to do that with your partner. Feel. So especially up here, we want this, okay, not head down, shoulders rounded, where we lose control of the movement. So everything from your heel, all the way up, tension from there. From here, when it's time to execute ultimately, keeping your eyes up, you'll drop, but you won't collapse your body. Okay, so if we're here and she's my partner, I'm going to do this side for a second. Actually, I'll do this side without the wall. Okay, I'm here. Notice my shoulders and hips. Not this way. Not this way. Not this way. Here. And I want her to poke, prod. Is there anything all the way up that feels like it's rounded? It should be here. Even off of this leg. Here. This. Okay, check each other. Go. Everything has to be here. Make sense? Even when I step in, when I come this way for a moment, I don't know if this is too, I don't know if this is visually perceptible or not, I don't know. But even before I go, everyone see that engagement. Here, I already feel that's a tight glute there. I'm not just lifting the leg. There's this engagement. I cannot stretch it back anymore. Then, here. And even though my head will lower as my leg comes up, I don't let my nose go back to toward my own support leg. So I'm lowering, but the eyes stay fixed on some point here. Execute the leg. We cannot let the arms drop. Here. Got it? Okay, go. Don't be shy. Poke him in the butt. Poke that cheek. That's really where that main contact is going to be. Good. So you got to have that down. After your partner checks you, so let's say I'm doing this regression, and I do my tension check, he can practice on his own, just kind of from there, yes. Just getting a little bit more. So he's kind of got this, and then, okay, he passes the tension check, practice coming up and down on that teeter totter. Okay, go a couple times.
When you said the glute comes out, is it like this or is it just tight like that?
It's tight because you're pulling. The rubber band has tension because you're pulling on. So if he's here, okay, and I'm this way, and I'm instead of kind of falling into him to touch him, I'm reaching in.
Pressing.
Yeah, of course there would be pull up here, but I don't want to just be tall this way where he touches, because he can kind of slip and slide there. I want to kind of pierce there so I can come eventually all the way through.
So instead of like the hip touching, it's the glute touching.
It's not the point of the hip here, it's the back of the hip.
Right.
Yeah, so, but we'll get to contact in a moment.
Is the goal of doing these exercises for weighing your lines on the wall?
Yes, it is to, in part, the wall is there, but just, just if you need it for a second. Okay? But really what I'm trying to get you to get is essentially the core movement and the body dynamics and the tension of the tori before we even get to how the uke is positioned, how your footwork relates to where their hips are. So just making sure that this action, no different than doing a kata and you're trying to perfect your body. Then we'll have a guy come in and punch you or do this or that. But a lot of it is just step this way. And really get so you're not just this way, you're here. You're really trying to understand not the look of the thing, but the tension in the sense.
The hips in relation to the short position should be just like Osoto, where at the finish, like they should be.
Yeah, so I'm talking about Uchi Mata today. But as far as the core, what I call the root body movement, not how it relates in Sukuri to Yuke, but just me. It's Harai, Osoto, Uchi Mata. In the same way that this position is Ogoshi, Ipan, Marote, Tsurikomi, Goshi, but the root movement, the root positioning, the root tension is the same. Yeah? Okay. So we're here. We're going to do both sides with that. Okay. Both gripping collars. We're going to back step here. Notice the depth of that back step. Notice the bend of the back step. Right now, as soon as my foot really touches down, I'm already kind of pushing that glute here. We're going to turn the heel, and we're going to bow, and that forearm, as we do so, extends. This. We step, boom, boom, far grip on the collar, step, turn, push that butt back, throw. 1, 2, throw. One, two, three. Just take a grip up here, wherever you can get. If it's really hard for you at first, just do one side. 1, 2. Step back to neutral. Back step, boom. When you feel good, step through neutral into another back step and go. Push. Okay. Hajime. Take your time. Did you hear something? Try to keep your toes and knee toward the ground. Stretch that back. There's no rush, but when you feel you got the feel of it, put a little bit of motion and speed behind it. But control. I find that if you project your heel, you have more tension in the calf. Think like doing a back kick, right? This kind of develops what Wilson used to call the lunch lady leg. So keep the toes down and heel, so not so much this way. Okay, a couple more. Not exactly it. It's all squishy here. So don't let this arm dangle, where this shoulder and this hip are now really high, head like this, pull. Imagine that you're gonna have this sleeve. Okay, it's not gonna be like this until it's finishing time. Okay, got it? And let's see if we can't start kind of putting it together now. Got it?
There is tension in the scapula.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's what I'm saying about pinching here. I don't want uke to be dragged.
Right.
I want them on their toes. Go round in the back. Hamstring up. Hamstring. This chuck right here. Think something like Hikite. So you feel pinch my hand. Yes. As opposed to pinch right here. Okay, very good. Very good. Let's come over here. So just continuing this, I promise we're going to throw at some point. But this foundational work is very, very important, because some of you think you know. So over here, we're going to step to the outside. Then he'll step to the outside. So you're purposely going wide. And let's time it. Let's go one more time. So upon his landing, back to shizentai, neutral posture, I'm moving. He's moving. Okay, go. Yes. Try not to let the left hand be down. Okay, remember that is a finishing action. That's a finishing action. When I do that too early, Okay? Here. Then that elbow will eventually come down to finish the rotation. But in the same way I wouldn't do Ogoshi, this way. And then I'll pull that elbow down. This. Okay, go. On the line. We're not going to try to do anything on the throat. I'm going to.
Yeah, great.
Go in here. That's not one good. Yeah. That's good too. I want you to overcook, not undercook that back step. Okay, that's an element that needs to come back into emphasis a little bit in this throw. Okay, yes.
Maybe see the upper pull again.
Yeah, so same, no difference.
Then right there.
Yes. Because I actually have something attached here, right? It's weighted, there's some resistance there just because there's mass there. I mean, I get the same level, but in my mind's eye, I'm trying for that same pin. I don't want to let this be on this side of the body. Here.
But we're not doing.
I'm not worried about that.
Okay, that's
we're gonna de-emphasize that for a long time right now.
Okay.
Because, yes.
We're not closing the distance with them on us yet, right? Or-
No. But if you come where my knee is for a second. It's perfectly nice and lean. Let's look at his hip. Just lift your arms for a second. Lift your arms straight up. Here, right? Please watch my hip and footwork. Versus. Okay, deep. Deep. No throw. Start with a few slow reps, but I don't want you to stay in slow-mo forever. Motion, coordinate the body action. Essentially the same exercise, except we're now going to make contact on the inside of the leg. You are not making contact precisely where you're going to make contact on the throw. I just want you to get a feeling of moving something, just a tiny bit of resistance. Not that he's resisting me, but just that you actually have to move something. So we'll do the same thing. One, right? We'll do that. 1, 2. 1, 2. Got it? From the side, I'll do mine and you'll do yours. 1, 2. 1, 2. Oops. 1, 2. 1, 2. 1, 2. Got it?
Is
your initial step the same for both of us?
I may be going wider on this one because I'm trying to get to the out, trying to essentially miss. And it'll be a little tighter, perhaps.
Go with the first step, the step in.
Sorry, what's your question about?
So the first step here.
I'm not too concerned with it at this point. Just get it in front of you, and then here. Then at this point, you should be able to cut it in tighter, or just turn. Just go there.
When you go in for the second, when you hit the leg, is your body more like kind of catty cornered so that your hip doesn't hit?
Yeah, so my hip shouldn't really hit him at this point. But I'm thinking of, even when I make contact with the leg, that if his hip was here, I'd butt him, and then the almost throwing with this, and then the leg acting as a guide all the way up. Okay? Not necessarily that different from Harai Goshi. Right? What does Harai Goshi mean?
Sweeping hip.
Sweeping hip. What's one of the big problems people make with Harai Goshi? They try really hard to make it a leg throw. And really it's, the literal name is sweeping hip. So the hip is here, and the leg is kind of guiding that action. So just think of that, but split them up the middle. Okay, the very first time I did Harai Goshi, I still remember it as a brown belt. Shiho said, "Hey George, do Harai Goshi between his legs." And I looked at him like, what about, you know? He goes, "You won't hit him. You'll think you're gonna hit him, but you won't. Just Harai him up the middle. Just do everything you know about Harai, but just straight up the middle." Okay? So we're going back. We're going old school. That's okay. Go. Here to here. This is where we're connecting. Okay? Maybe sometimes his feet are wider. Maybe they're more natural. Wherever his feet are, this is what we got to think about. This in here. And my back of my hip, butt in deep. But I don't want to sacrifice turn. I don't want to sacrifice this for this. Okay? My partner's much shorter than I am. I can get away with it. Okay? But as they start to approach my height, certainly taller. Obviously, like all techniques, there's conditions where one technique would be more optimal than another, right? If this guy is 6'9", LeBron James, and you're Mr. Manil or me, Uchi Mata probably isn't going to be the go-to, right? And if we've got a 3-foot tall sumo wrestler, Kata-Ha-Jime probably isn't the choice either. So, in any case, I bring this up so that you understand where I want you to make connection. And we're going to be more obsessed with the left foot making a deep entry than we are whether it's here, 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 here. I want you to have your hip connect deeply wherever that foot may be. And so now we've kind of spent an hour really refining the body mechanics, solo in some sense, of the Uchi Mata. Kind of the fundamental root movement that's universally true, yeah? But now I want you to work a little bit now as we move forward while maintaining that universal root movement, also finding your Uchi Mata. How tall am I? How tall is my partner? How deep can I afford to be a little shallower? Or am I really short and I gotta get really underneath them? So you gotta kind of find your position as well. Okay? It's like, what's the right amount of knee bend in a hip throw? Is it 6 inches? Is it 2 inches of bend? Is it 1 foot of bend? How much is the right amount of bend? Depends on the uke. Depends on you, right? You and I were child martial artists. The amount that you had to bend when you were 9 is different than when you're getting to 40, right? It's the same. It's a little, you're going to have to adjust. So based on what you bring to the table, what uke brings to the table, you have to bend your knees so that the universal is true, which is what? My hips under his hips. And the degree to which I need to bend will vary based on my height, how well did I get him up, all that will come into play. But what is universally true is that I got to get underneath his hips. If he's LeBron James, maybe I don't need to bend my knees quite so much. Okay? But whether it's LeBron James or him or Mr. Manil, I do need to attack this. And I need to find the depth, so maybe we're not talking so much up and down now, but I need to find the depth and position of entry so that I achieve that aim.
Is there a benefit or a reason that you have your entry foot to the inside of his feet or the outside of his feet?
Really, for now, I'm gonna focus. If you're a little bit shorter, I would probably favor all things being equal, kind of front to slightly to the inside. Okay? But let's say he's very wide in his, actually let's say he's very narrow, very narrow. Maybe in this case, it's not that big an issue. So I want to think about, open up your feet really wide. I want to maybe think about the lines of his hip, this kind of area, bikini line area here, down, more than I am obsessed with his literal foot. And this is one of the things that I want us to slightly move away from. We're getting a little too dogmatic about where that foot needs to be, as opposed to making sure that, again, you're low, like a hip throw, you're underneath the part, that's what we're not dogmatic about. It's got to be 6 inches of knee bend. You just got to get under. You got to be able to connect here and follow through. Okay? And so we'll play with a few positions. So now let's just do it the way we were. Okay? 1, 2, 3. One, 2, 3. Whoosh.
Can I see just a throw going this way slowly, please?
Just a throw.
Yes, sir.
Let's do that one again. Please notice that my shoulders are not this way. Okay? Get yourself here. And try not to aim your toes this way. Forward if you really have to. I'd rather you go this way a little bit than that way. If your toes are pointed here, you're going to kind of lift his leg at an angle. So we want to be here.
Does the connection with our glute start anything like that, or is it just a connection?
What do you mean by start anything with that?
Like, is it influencing how he moves before the leg even starts coming up? Is it like pushing his hips up, bringing them up, or is it just touching?
Well, it's not just touching. I don't like the word just in there. Because it's not just like it's here. But I don't want you to think that you're pushing in this kind of way.
Right.
Where he moves away from you.
That's what I was.
I am pushing in that kind of way, but there's something giving me counter pressure, which is my pull.
Okay.
Right? If I just hip into him, he's going to move back.
Gross.
So turn sideways, please. I definitely don't want it to be just a touch, or nothing's happening to him. I want to hip into him. But this pull already kind of defaults him forward and doesn't allow for this. That making sense? Yes. So, one more time. Outside, low inside, and full Uchi Mata. Whoosh. Okay. Let's go. Give yourself that room to kind of.
Because usually it is down on this side.
When I look at his feet, it's a little flat. So we're here, we're kind of, start with your, this side leading. Okay, so we're kind of here, he wants the hip. Generally I want to underhook here, but he comes underneath here. So you're gonna keep this high grip. Got it? He steps in, you're gonna move, get in front, throw with the Uchi Mata. You're looking for that nice, wide, open position. He's chasing for that grip, for that position. Good. When you feel that the legs are wide, on this line, you're gonna enter in and attack. All right. There's no preset, like circle 3 times or circle 4 times. Just work with each other a little bit. Get the feeling, and then when you find that alignment, take it.
Are you particular about the specifics of the right hand high grip? Because sometimes on collar, sometimes in the middle of the back.
I like this type of thing for now. Let's avoid the belt. Okay. All right. Hajime.
I'm gonna go first.
Don't attack the leg. Stop. Don't attack the leg. Attack the middle. So we're here. I'm trying to keep my distance. Trying to keep my distance. Okay. We're here. Boom. Can you guys come on this side? I'm not doing this. I am, but I don't think so much about the leg. Kind of like if I were to tell you to do Osoto Gari, and people get obsessed with the leg. It's not that the leg's not important. Of course the leg's important. But there's so much else going on that the leg will go along with it. So when we're here, we're this way. When I get freeze, I want to be facing. Boom. So he's got that wide leg position. I'm not attacking just his leg. I want to attack right up the middle. Like Shiho told me a long time. Harai. Right up the middle. Attack right up the middle. You're not going to hit his groin, I promise. Remember, every throw has its condition. Concentrate on aligning your hips and then pull the trigger on the leg. So we're here. He's got shallow hip, but he's going for that hip control. Sleeve on sleeve. Okay, so we're here. He steps in the front, wide base. It's not, can I see the inside of his thigh and just blast it? Align the hips. Hips. Hips, hips. Even now, I don't fully have it. Now I have it. Okay, so don't have that kind of quasi-open hip position where you're just going to hit his leg. Get that hip in front. Don't just attack. That's the equivalent of the Osoto Gari, just leg. It's not just the leg. Hajime. Get them on their toes. So let's say, don't do anything for me. And this, I'm going to show Osoto Gari to Uchi Mata, but based on position of his legs and feet and where our hips line up, this could easily be Harai. Okay? Because why? It's the same root movement. So it's just how do the stars align at that moment. Okay. So I'm going to go in heavy for an Osoto Gari. Yes? Yes. As I do so, he kind of turns to get to my back. Boom. He wants to maybe bear hug me, grab me, whatever. But he kind of tries to turn the corner on me. Right? So, I don't know, maybe throw a punch. Boom. I want to go here. He turns on me. I'm going to throw right away. I'd love it to be done so that in a perfect, like it looks really nice world, I am here, he turns, my leg never touched the ground, and then I throw him. But if on the turn he drops me, that's okay, just slip the back step in and go anyway. Make sense?
Yes.
So Uke kind of turns to get to my back. Now freeze, this is perfect for instructional purposes. Let me take the Santa Claus away so you can see a little better. What adjustment do I need to make right now to throw him with Uchi Mata or Harai? But definitely needs to happen. It's just a matter of degree, not a matter of if. Right. I could try reaching for this with hip out of alignment. And then we have what's sometimes called a Ken Uchi Mata, where you kind of hop in a circle. And that can get a guy down. It's not going to be a big throw, but it can get him down. But that's not what we're looking for right now. So we're here, he turns. So this heel has to do what? It has to pivot. That's good, but get deeper. So I remember all this stuff we were doing? You guys be able to move on one foot. So I'm here, boom. Could be front choke, could be whatever. In the melee of a self-defense circle in class, you go in. This person tries to grab you. Turn in, make that throw. Please don't let your chin drop, your shoulders roll, and then you fall over at the end. Work on maintaining absolute hime control of your technique. Yes?
Do you want us not to grab the shoulder and just place the hand, the arm around?
That's Tori, this one? So I'm here. I was doing it for consistency. I was trying to link it to the last technique because I'm a sneaky teacher. But, whatever. As long as I got him and my actions aren't moving him away from me. He turns. Now, he's staying still, right? So I gotta make a lot of movement with that. But if he engages me, maybe I can't move it at all. Just kind of depends. Make sense? Go to Osoto Gari, I'm moving around you. Assuming we're in a world where he re-engages, maybe the demand is not that big. But either way, by hook or by crook, you gotta get there. Not this. With leg fold here. Okay? Jime!
Only when you run too much.
Yeah, so he goes around my back too much. Maybe we're here. Maybe I'm closer now to this leg. Right? Maybe his feet are a little narrower. Right? Then I'm here. If his legs are wider, bring your right foot to him. I'm not doing Harai there. Right? I can turn the hips, go here. If I want to attack on this angle, the angle of our 3 feet, 1, 2, 3, could be a Goshi. But if I want to cut back, we're probably going to go here. Okay, Hajime. You're right there. The back step has more to do with the success than. So Mr. Jameson asked a question, but it's not just him doing it. So some of us are hopping in or backstepping in, however you want to phrase it, is fine. And then you're throwing and there's this kind of this falling back feeling. Basically, you do need to make up that space with this back step and you need to hop in. But as you do so, your chest can never fall behind your heel. Your chest cannot fall behind your heel. So even as I bring my heel back, chest forward. The chest cannot go back with the leg. Even this hops in, as opposed to it all fades back. Seiwa Toshi actually has that problem. sometimes two, where people shoot the right leg back and their chest comes behind their knee and heel, like this, as opposed to keeping that chest and shoulder coming forward. Yes?
I'm having a heck of a time when I'm doing the hop, executing a proper pull.
Start the pull. Start the pull. Do the hips, feet, legs.
Okay.
And the pull's still alive here.
So start the pull before the hop.
Yeah, the pull has a long life.
Okay.
From off balancing, through the sukuri, through the kake, to the protection, to maintaining your balance. The feet, hips, and legs has a short but intense ride. Boom!
Okay.
But the pull, so we're here, boom. Okay, the pull is here, right?
Yes.
Agree? So I've already got kind of pull. I move in, and I'm still what? Pulling. There's still tension here, and I'm pulling here. Everything is still pulling. So you can't pull, you can't begin the pull at the same time as the kake, because Kuzushi Sukuri is very much dependent on the pull. Pull the trigger on the hips and legs for the Uchi Mata, they already have to be off balance.
You said you wanted to keep us on that one leg?
I said it would be nice.
Right, I don't, well, when I pull, I'm pulling myself to them if I'm staying on a leg, but if I set that one down, I can get the pull up. You know?
So it could be like, let's say she turns really fast, you may end up like this.
I feel like I can't get the proper pull I need.
From here? Then do that.
Okay.
Then do that.
To comment off of Miss O'Neill's question, the pull starts with the Osoto Gari and it never stops.
That's right.
with the Kage.
Yes,
So,
that's actually the best pull.
I mean, if the pull stops, then when you transition between the throws, and that means the Kazushi stops too.
Yeah.
And then you're restarting it. But the pull should be continuous throughout within the first moment you move for Osoto Gari.
Yeah, so in this case, to her point, your pull has a lifespan of 2 throws,
Yeah.
right? You're already pulling, she's circling, you're still pulling, you're still pulling. So there's no point where you cease to pull, and then there's like a rebound of the pull. So that's actually the best answer. You're already pulling, they turn the corner, hop in, but you're still here. At no point did this kind of fall apart. And if you try to reanimate it after the fact, unless you're throwing a child, it's going to be very difficult. Okay? All right. Let's really good point. Try to get behind them. I don't need you to like have an actual attack, but think that you would attack them. However you want to think. So he's going to. Maybe I'm going to choke him. Right? Maybe I'm going to get behind him and grab him, whatever I want to do. But I'm going to get behind this guy. And in that transition, when I'm trying to get behind him, that's when he's going to make his throw. So all I'm really saying is that I don't want the uke to be this guy. Okay? So a little bit more like he's moving in on me, and I'm going to come and get him. A little bit more in sync with a real-time feeling more than a particular attack. Okay. Put up your shoulder.
Don't worry behind you.
Don't bring your head under here.
Okay.
Sometimes, after I go to the Osoto Gari and they circle around and putting pressure on me, I feel like it's difficult to move that leg because it's heavy.
That leg is the left.
The left leg, the foot that needs to readjust and move it.
So what's the most honest answer? Probably. If the weight doesn't feel right, yeah, you're probably gonna, there's a whole arsenal of combat technique throws that we have. The last 2 weeks you've heard me hit the theme hard, right? I'm trying to get this in, well, not just Q's minds, but everybody's minds. Okay? Each technique, each throw has its right time and place. And so the art of being, well, it's not, I don't want to put the onus completely on Uke all the time, right? Like, Tori sucked too sometimes, right? But we want as Tori and Uke to work together to understand, like, are we creating a circumstance that's conducive to the throw? And if it's not, if you feel like there's just no way in this position, you probably would adjust to something else. But then the question becomes, I would try to analyze what is it precisely that's making it feel like, is it Uke sinking weight down? Is it has nothing to do with Uke? I'm just like way too far out. My grips are low, so because my grips are hanging, it makes my lower body feel heavy. So kind of trying to break down what precisely is making it feel like it's not happening. And it may be like just where we're at right now, it's not going to happen. Or it could be there's something I'm doing or something they're doing or something that we're doing together that's making it just not work. But the honest answer in real time is it doesn't feel like, if they're too far for an MP, give them a mic area, like adjust the technique accordingly. So, sir.
If you're going to break it down into percentages, what percent of their weight would you want on the leg that closer to where you're coming up? Does it have to be 100 or 90?
I would say that as in the traditional Uchi Mata, because there's variations to this, and actually as far as throws go, Uchi Mata has quite a number of variations, kind of like the Sumi-Geshi, there's lots of variations. But as far as the traditional Uchi Mata goes, I think that the best way to answer, I don't know that I'm going to give you an exact percentage, but I'd say as the life of the cycle reaches kind of the apex, the greater the percentage of weight should come forward and toward you. That doesn't mean it's going to be 100%.
When we're practicing Uchi Mata, do you want us to practice this way for quite a while?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So, yeah.
Can you elaborate what you mean?
The Tsurikomi instead of.
Oh, okay.
Well, okay.
Do you just, I thought you mean the tension?
So no, I know what he's getting at, but he's misunderstanding. So you're talking about this initial movement here, right? Which I purposely didn't even talk about today, okay? Because if I'm being totally honest, a lot of the problems that have recently happened with Uchi Mata, I think, is due to a complete misunderstanding of this motion, and it's kind of retarding the rest of the progress of the throw. So as a teacher, my focus today was these people know how to throw. Let's de-emphasize this for a minute, get everything else in place, and then later we can just layer that little cherry on top. I just want you to think of this motion as kind of an introduction of a different way to set up Kuzushi, right? So a lot of the time, most of the time, Kuzushi is this way or this way, and to the corners, right? But it's either kind of generally back, left, back, right? Or you pull forward or side to side, right? Maybe a whole Gari, right? Maybe a Harai, boom. In Uchi Mata, not that it has to be done this way, but for whatever reason, Shiho elected that at this point in the curriculum, he also wanted you to have a sense of kind of a vertical bounce feeling. So if you've ever seen like wrestlers, they kind of pull on each other's heads, right? And of course, as I pull on his head, he wants to posture up, right? He doesn't, right, he wants to get his hips back underneath him. So it's almost that feeling of kind of snapping down the head. They pop up, boom, and then you throw. But that whole idea has gotten so, we've made too much of that. And it's thrown off some people's throat.
Yeah.
And so I kind of wanted to hit Uchi Mata fresh, purposely. I want you to know that you can throw some Uchi Mata And then whether it's forward, backward, or you go here, if he comes up, what's my next movement? I'm just gonna Tsurikomi him anyway. Make sense?
Yeah.
So it's kind of like if we were in Randori, I've done this all the time because people keep their hips away from me, right?
Yep.
And I'll pull down on their head. What just happened?
He came back up.
Right, because his choices are what?
Go to the ground.
Stay down.
Drop to his face, right? Maybe let's go, puts a hand on the mat, right? Or he doesn't want to go, boom, and I throw. That's all that is. But we've made this a whole thing that retards our footwork, and so just made it more difficult than it needed to be.
Honestly, I never understood why we did it.
Right, so my job as a sensei is to be brutally honest with myself, and if I see multiple people having the same issue, then I have to take the blame for it. Right?
Yeah.
Whether it's my fault or not, doesn't matter. There's multiple of my people misunderstanding that. So let's kind of shape the etcher sketch, and sometimes I have to do that too,
Yeah.
right? Follow what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
So, and what happens sometimes is like, if you, Sensei Manil, at your height, right, were to teach a group of people, Uchi Mata. 3 years later, we go to a national seminar, and Master John Ferns, who's like 6'3", 6'4", whatever he is, right, teaches Uchi Mata. And student A has attended both of those sessions. They could come away from those sessions going, man, I don't know.
Yeah.
That Uchi Mata seemed really different the way Sensei Manil taught it and Master Ferns taught it. Who's wrong? And that's kind of that black and white thinking that sometimes, right? And what happens is that then Sensei Manil, as the more junior sensei, has to go, oh, can't undermine what he said.
Bad.
Oh, that's going to be bad. And so now there's the influence of 4 or 5 or 6 different things there, and eventually you just got to shape the etcher sketch and go, let's get all that noise and static out of there, and let's just start at the ground level. Let's just do the body action. Let's pull this apart. Let's make sure we have the right tension. And sometimes that's what it takes to, instead of trying to make this dot and this dot and this dot connect, there's no dots. There's no dots to connect. Just start from the ground up. And that's what I
Most
felt.
practical way possible.
That's what I felt was necessary with Uchi Mata. So my goal was I wanted some of the senior brown belts here, because they don't have the throw. I wanted them to get some exposure to a black belt class, but it was also my little science experiment to have kind of a control group and see, empirically, was that a more effective way to introduce the technique?
Yes.
Because I'm learning too. As I thought about Uchi Mata a lot this week, a lot. I kept coming back to Shihan's initial words to me early on.
Hard.
George, do Harai between his legs. What do I do with this pole? What do I do with it? George, just do Harai between his legs. And somewhere along the line, it got more difficult than that, and it didn't have to be.
Yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions?
Not necessarily a question, it's just a admission on my part. Learning Uchi Mata a while ago, to me, I always thought Uchi Mata, I always thought up the middle.
Yes.
But in my mind, for some reason, I always thought up the middle, yes, but I always attacked more one side of the hip and inside of the thigh, as to close to the middle. Maybe it was just misperceived on my part.
No, I don't think
or if it was.
You know what I think it is? I think that's ultimately what, literally is happening sometimes, is you end up connecting here, but when you think about it, you start moving
Over more.
out a little bit. It's like, if you think about up the middle, you're really going to hit him up the middle, but if you think about up the middle, you'll hit him here. Because we were really hitting each other up the middle. We're Portuguese, so we'll be in trouble. So bad. All right, I think we can edit that out. All right. We'll be here in this kind of turtle position. And let's just start by back stepping up in here. So what's that? Your right leg. Back step your right leg like so. So you're like in a case of time. So you look at me, you're not flat on your back. And just go back. And back. And back. And back. And back. And back. So, back, just stay there for a moment. Position yourself however you need to see me here. So when I'm here, I don't want this quadrant to hang out over that void space. So I'm not doing this. Here. 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 This. Not too far back. This way. This. Okay, again. Towards the parking lot. Go. Back to the turtle position. And then the other leg. Go. Back. And back. Back. Splay those legs just a little bit, guys. So, here. Not like this. Say, I'm sorry? Hips not on the ground. Hips not on the ground right now.
Do you rather the foot that's back be flat on the ground, or do you want to be up here?
I'm not totally, I'm like more here.
Okay.
So if the edge of the foot touches, it may touch, but the pressure is more like a kickstand.
Okay.
Not totally like this. I don't want to push on this foot and I can elevate. I want to push on this foot and there's going to be pressure on this guy. This. Okay, a couple more times. Ready? Going towards the park now. Right leg.
We are starting on our knees.
Your knees is fine, yeah. Give me a little work there. Step. Without lifting your butt excessively, left leg through. Go. Left leg back. Right leg over. Left leg back. Right leg under. Right leg under again. Back to where you were. Good. It's a turtle now. So let's make it super simple. We'll start to the side of our partner, under hooking the arm, but we'll grab the back here. Got it? Nice. Simple. Could be against the shoulder, could be the collar. Just almost like a shallow econ grip, and we'll grab here. Got it? We'll come through. You're gonna have your arms come out open. Here. No, you're fine. Just want to see the grip. Good. That's it. I'm not going to flop on his head. So instead of being on my knees, I'll come kind of under the arm. Here. If you need to sit on your hip, it's okay. Just kind of get the sense of the motion. Over the arm, which means I release the other side. And I back step here. Got it? Nice. If you need to rest here, no problem. Pop up. Through the arm. Here. If he bridges into me, head in. Bridge hard, bridge hard, bridge hard. Good. Got it? Yes. You're not going to hold someone there forever. But you do need, if he tries to bridge or get around me, you need to be able to hold him down. This. Simple enough? Nice. So we're just doing, kind of beginning from here. You pass over, grip them, let go with this one, here. If you need to rest here, that's fine. And then, once you feel okay with the motion, have them bridge into you, and just side of the face, body, use the legs to push into them. Don't get lazy with your feet in leg position. Pull into them. Loose. Okay. Mr. Dance, question?
Can I see that?
Yeah. Loose. So think like, essentially like a Kesa here, but instead of wrapping his head, I'm underneath his arm, and we're kind of this way. Okay. Kind of like the way we would come to my back for a minute, climb onto my back, climb onto my back, climb onto my back. Kind of like the way you'd be for the Ukiyo-ori. You need to sit, come over, underneath the armpit, release this side here. I'm keeping it kind of open, but if I feel him bridge into me, I'll post into him. This. Simple enough? Alright, just practice that basic movement.
What do you mean come and take? Like just this arm, it's flat. Oh, you can't get underneath each other.
Okay, something like that. Stay. Are we having a really hard time with this? Like a really hard time?
No.
For sure?
I'm just trying to get used to the fluidity of it.
Okay, let's get used to the fluidity of it. This. Wait.
Well, I guess I'm just thinking about where, sometimes I feel too high. Like I know my body is too far forward towards their head.
No, you're good. You're talking about this. All right, you tell me when, okay? So I'm close.
Okay, so I should be really.
I'm not by his hips.
Okay.
I'm trying to dominate his shoulder and neckline.
This.
No different than if I was here. Well, different in the sense of where my grips are. Okay? So I may not be in the ideal spot, but if he tries to get to my back, I hook a leg. I don't. Wait, go ahead and do it again. This should not be quite so easy for him to do. If we're down here, he's going to put stuff in front of me to get away. So I'm kind of doing like a half circle with his shoulder line. So here.
So you're never below his arm, then you're always on top of
Yeah. Right over, hovering over his chest, heart to heart, shoulder to shoulder, heart to heart, shoulder to shoulder. Notice this good. He helps me a tiny bit. Look at that. See that? That massive effort he makes. Some of you are like, dude, help your partner a little. Work with him. Good God.
I noticed that when he bridges, it opens up the other side.
Yeah.
For you to be able to hit the next side.
Bingo. Was correct. All right. Hajime, work with each other. If I feel like I'm losing, I can go back to here, right? So that's always that side. It bridges, and here we go. Maybe making progress. I can come back to Kami Shiho Gatami this way. On knee, same idea. He bridges. See if you can just hold them there. Soft stomach if you need to. You can go back to where you started. Yeah. But we also had a different movement too, which was what? Pull the leg through. So let's begin here. The Kami Shiho Gatami. So bridge into me. Right here. I decide to go this way. He's going to bridge into me a little bit. I'm going to grab, kick under, and apply Kata-Te Jime this way. Okay, Pulling with the bottom arm that you grip with initially. Pulling. Come across the throat. Take this north side hip and gently bring it down. So it's not just how hard can I bash my arm through his neck. I just turn. This. Okay, so I come through. Come through again. Come through. Bridge into me. Take a hold of that collar. Again, I could go back, but instead I'm going to kick through. Bottom hand pulls, and I use the dropping of the hip and shoulder to apply the choke. Yeah?
That was close.
Questions?
Press it again.
We'll start here, yeah? Body movement is this. I'm going to take hold of that collar, come underneath myself. I'm pinning him. You feel that pin? Yes. And drop the north side, shoulder and hip through. If I pull with this one, it'll be even better.
Are you trying to grab the collar with the top hand before you shoot your leg under?
Ideally, yes. Yes. I'm trying to show you, but yeah. But it could be after the fact too, right? You could be here, he bridges in or something. And you apply that too. And if there's no E, you can, this one is not, you can easily hook a shoulder and apply the same way.
During the transition side to side, there's a point where both hands have hold of you, right? So, when are you letting go? So if we got to the other side, I saw you kind of do the...
Yeah, so I'm not trying to be evasive. The body motion is the most important thing. Get that. Because you start, it's like Uchi Mata problem. Start fiddling with hand. You're not even, you don't need to worry about the hands yet. Just get the body motion, right? So if you're lost, go back to the little Osaekomi kata you were just doing on your own. Started this way, right? Then we added, watch it crazy, this. So that's just the motion. You just have okay there. Now. Come over.
When you said you pull with your lower hand,
Yes.
is it like a retraction? Or
Yes. Well, my arm is supporting me, so you're never going to get all the way through. But I'm not just holding. There's here.
So it's into you. Cool.
And this is here. So I'm not even dropping that elbow that much. I'm sitting on my butt right now. If I apply hip at the same time, that's not a fun feeling.
So where should you be feeling the pressure?
Right across the trachea. Yeah. This is a crusher of the windpipe. Got it?
Oh, so it's
You want to see it again? Okay. And here, I'm not trying to be. He'll tell. I'm not trying to hurt him, but I'm not just sitting here. Because if I'm just sitting here, I think he will do something. He's not just going to stay there. So you have to have that element of Osaekomi or pinning or hold downs where the I don't know if you can hear that, but I can't. Just enough. Now, am I going to be able to hold the guy here for an hour? No, but I don't need to hold him here for an hour. I need to hold him for just a few seconds. This. Okay. Hajime. See how this goes. If you're trying to do a top of the room, like I hold on to you. Okay, now you're ready.
Alright, that's about 20% of the rest of
Conclusion. I'm here. I kick through. I just turn. I'm not, I mean, I got firm connection against his neck, but I'm just taking this side down. And of course, I'm doing that with control. But it's mostly just the body.
You want it to be like a cutting motion?
Yeah, like a old school paper cutter. This way, so it's not my elbow comes down and my hand comes up. This stays, this anchors on. I'm here. And it's very, yeah, but it's very little. So, I mean, it's not this. It's you do that with intent. And this guy's got a big problem.
Are you grabbing Nami here at the thumb?
Yes, I am. I'm grabbing, Nami, but then I kind of turn it. But if I didn't have the thumb in, I just kind of cup here. If the gi is there, I always grab the first joints, not here. So, like this. Not a handful of gi, so that I can make my wrist mobile. Okay. If you grab too much, then it's like a fist. And when you make a fist, what do you not want in your wrist? Mobility. You want it solid. So I kind of grab like a paw, like a leopard almost, and then rotate. Okay, a couple more times. Just get used to a different body. So it works either way.
You like take off my ear.
I do.
So freeze. So right now all your weight is here. It's good, it's good. You're fine. Okay. Just transfer it to the shoulder on my neck. Just roll that.
I'm going hard out of the hip. As I start to drop that paper cutter, I'm going to swing my leg through. Both my hips are facing to the ground. I ain't even got my weight yet.
Ooh, yeah.
You were kind of.
So we were moving from here before you. Now we'll attack from here. So I'm going to bring my hand to me underneath, grabbing the collar, like so. Yeah. Remember that you always have kind of, when you're doing shime-waza choking techniques, you either got this pulling motion, or you got this like fishing, like a casting motion. And when you're always playing with these two motions. So I enter kind of here, but eventually I'll finish here. So we're going to kind of have an inverted Kata-Ha-Jime. Here. We're going to shoot, roll, think about your head and your hand coming underneath here, under, over. Roll, here. Notice the same kind of fundamental body actions. Okay? The first one's already death. The second one, make sure he doesn't reincarnate. Here. I'm going to be gentle. Obviously, I'm going to trap all of this as I roll. But as I roll, this action, notice what happens to him here. We dive under, and behind his head, and I stretch. It could come here and apply more, but that gets super duper tight, right? who knows, maybe he tried to grab you in a single leg, try to take you down, whatever. But we're here. We're gonna grab the collar here. We're gonna shoot so that we come under the arm, over the head. Under the arm, over the head. Loose. Questions?
Can I see that grip one more time?
Yeah. Can you sit in front of me on your butt? Kata-Ha-Jime, same choke, except that our orientation is this way. But the same rules apply. Cross the neck, under, over, apply. But I'm on the opposite collar. Here, as I go, I kind of stuff his head here. Push. All right. Yep.
I know this. Can I see the roll without the just once?
I'm not going to throw you. So when I move, just let this hand slide so I don't hurt your elbow.
Okay.
That's the second, but you probably won't even need to get to the second. To make it a little easier, not that ultimately it will matter, but if you're new to this type of movement, the side you're going to roll to, have that knee down. It'll be a little easier for you at first. The number one thing, actually, is to have the confidence to bring your head underneath. Okay? But in order to have success with that, you have to, like a shime, you have to be committed. And I'm not going to do this arm.
Okay.
This one has to be active. You have to make him follow you. This. Jime. Make sure you're not flat on your back. Stretch. See how we're
So you got your hand
let yourself go.
More out of me than it does choking you.
It does. Because like in the arm, it's
I can't. Your arm is up here on my shoulder. There's nothing more for me to insert.
Here, we have this, right? Once I take this grip, I kind of pull his head over to this side. I dive underneath. And here, I'll ease up the choke if I must. And I'll come to here. Apply. This. Just keep that counter pressure against the head as this one comes down. And again, the real goal isn't just for you to choke him more, it's for you to learn how to integrate your choke and your body movement together. Got it?
Well,
A couple times. Yep, yeah, question.
After you're doing the roll, are you kind of tucking your elbow on your
Yes.
side?
Yeah, yeah. Which may necessitate that, for my partner's sake, I ease up a little bit. On the street, I can just keep cranking. They'll probably be asleep by the time we get to belly down. Yeah. Okay. Let's stretch. So this is going to be stretch. If you freeze, if you feel it straining you a lot, stretch and move your hips back a little bit. Move your hips back. Turn. Belly down. Good. So use your body. If you feel like it's a lot of juice on the arms, keep what you have in the arms, but use your body to step on the accelerator. Because you've exhausted what you've got in your arms. Yes, and Uchi-Gari and Uchi-Gari. Inside.
More just the comment. And there's neither we didn't do the grip on the Uchi Mata practice, but the less concerned about where you're standing, that initial step that's in deep, whether it's on the inside or outside, and the shoulders. Like that was the two biggest takeaways I felt with Uchi Mata, was more just the shoulders retracting, and then that initial depth of the step. Because I know I would always try to do like Tai-Toshi, and I'd get too far out.
Mm-hmm.
Where
No, I think that's right. I think there was a bit of a, organically, what happened is that because the Kuzushi, the canonical way that Kuzushi is typically taught for Uchi Mata is a little different, which is kind of the point, is to introduce the more advanced Jukidoka to a slightly different way of doing things.
yeah.
There was a disproportionate amount of focus on that piece.
Just keeping it.
Whereas like, dude, there's more than one way to the top of the mountain. You can get Kuzushi many, many different ways. Here's just another way to do it. But it doesn't always have to be that way. And I think somewhere along the line, like it just happened where students are getting like, it has to be that way in order for it to work. And so what I wanted to do is to make the throw work first. Get the throw to work. And then it's like, hey, check out this way of getting the person there. But you could do it this way. Or you could be over the back and the person pushes onto you to try to Ogoshi you. Or they turn their back on you when you try to Osoto Gari them. And you know the throw, even if the Kuzushi was now a spinning Kuzushi.
Right.
Or maybe they're a little bit more kibish because they were trying to attack you with the Ogoshi. Or you smack down their head and pull them up like the canonical way we do it in our syllabus. Does that make sense?
Yes.
But I think that it was, yeah. Any other questions? You can be totally honest, 100% honest. Uchi Mata feels better, feels worse, feels no real change. Be honest.
I have a better understanding of it now, to a certain extent.
It might not have improved very much during the doing it today, but just the concept of I can see it deeper.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just more reps, I think, just more different ways like we did today, just playing with it some more and getting more experience with it.
Yeah.
I would agree with Mr. Barnett. I feel like I have a better understanding of the throw and the concepts of the throw. And it's new. It doesn't feel the same as the old Uchi Mata that I knew. It's like a new idea almost.
Some people might think it's like a drag to work with the throw and not actually get to throw like for that hour, but I feel like that was more important for me than like the actual throw, because then I get more frustrated doing the throw and failing. So like you said, like building it up makes you like more excited to do the throw than like fail like when you are throwing. So I like it better without throwing.
That was going to be my next question, how you all felt about, albeit a long stretch there. I realized it was a good hour.
I liked it.
Practicing the throw without the success fail, because immediately you're going to have failure, of course, right? It's new. Just kind of building a reservoir of knowing the gross body action over and over, and then
I preferred it.
you like that.
Before we had this session, I was I told him, I was fixated on like the
Yes,
first
you're
movement.
not the only one.
Yeah, so like whenever I try to throw, it never came out to like a full throw, and I always got frustrated. But the idea of like everything being like open, tense, like I actually finally threw.
You mean here? Is that
Yeah,
the
like
problem?
this and like the back. Like I forgot who was saying it, but they were saying the back for sure. It helped a lot.
Yeah, I think some of that was what I came to realize is that some of you, or all of you for the most part, let's say you're doing a Harai Goshi or Osoto Gari, that tension is there, you have it. But on Uchi Mata, which is just as true because it's the same movement, we're still on this freaking guy over here. And like now everything's a little, we're moving through, we're getting a leg, but we're still hung up on this thing. And I think kind of, he said it was new in a way, but it's new in a sense, but in another sense it's like, no, you already know these basic motions. Don't just take what you know, here's the footwork, and then you can snap on that kuzushi, and it's not hopefully that big of a deal.
It gave me a better understanding of how that it is a kazushi type thing, and not so like even talking about it and then like doing the technique without it, everything kind of put it together.
Yeah. Good.
Did the experiment, like how did your experiment when you saw like the people that were being introduced to it for the first time as opposed to us that have had it?
So I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm gonna think about it a little bit, but I was pretty happy overall. I kind of put out the, hey, try to etch or sketch your mind, start with empty the glass and kind of start fresh. And I honestly did not know the more experienced martial artists how willing we were gonna be to do that. I was waiting for, but what about? And I thought there was going to be kind of clear, there's this group of people and there's this group of people. But to your guys' credit, it seemed like you guys were ready to wipe the slate quite clean. So it looked like, there wasn't people didn't seem like they were holding on to what they thought they knew about Uchi Mata and trying to compare and contrast it. They were just kind of like, okay, I don't know Uchi Mata, or let's just approach this with a fresh perspective, and that worked out.
Yeah.
That worked out. Well, I know it was long. By the end, you guys looked a little worn. There was a lot of reps even before we got to a throw. But I hope it'll pay dividends.
In my opinion, I didn't think, maybe it was because when I learned it, I didn't think there was that much of a difference from what you were doing now than when I first learned it.
Yeah.
I don't know if maybe it's changed over the years.
Yeah, so I don't think the technique has changed at all. That's the thing. I think that this kind of down kuzushi for some people created like a.
That to me, that never even. I've never even emphasized that.
Yes. Well, that's the right way. In truth, like if you can just go like, oh, that's a different way of doing kuzushi. It's different. That's another way. And just let it be that, then you just do your Uchi Mata, you do a Harai in the middle. But for some of us, that became a real, they never quite got past this, and they got kind of mentally stuck on that. And I wanted to the extent that was true with some people, kind of like, okay, let's de-emphasize that for those people. But if that was never a major issue, then, other than maybe tightening up a little bit, making sure all this is firm, Uchi Mata's. I guess what I'm saying is, there's not I was experimenting with a different approach to introducing Uchi Mata, but there's no change in the actual Uchi Mata. The Uchi Mata, you know what I mean? It's like a different way of teaching Osoto Gari maybe, but Osoto Gari is still Osoto Gari. The technique is a technique, maybe just different analogy, different drills, different ways to get there. Yeah, just we'll see.
I also think it takes the uke factor out of it. Some of us have a tendency to sit instead of popping back up.
Yes.
So if we sit there, when somebody pulls us down, and depending on Mr. Camacho and myself, the fact is, or even Mr. Thrall, if I don't automatically come back, or they tug just a little too hard because of the difference between Mr. Drescher and them. So I think you eliminated the uke issue.
I tried hard.
Well, that That can be huge sometimes.
It-
And it's
no,
not because
it's-
we forget, sometimes we're trying to be the good Uke,
Yes.
and we're being a bad Uke by not reacting, we think we're doing the right thing.
Or
And we skip
overreacting,
it,
or
right,
doing weird reactions, and
So.
but with a technique like Ogoshi or Ippon early on, because of the amount of control you have in the hip, you can take a total white belt and baby him over. And as you grow the curriculum, there's certain almost built-in assumptions like Uke will react, and then when they don't, or they twist their hips, or they do this thing, it's like you gotta play ball. It's kind of like we were talking about the Newaza, like lift your arm a little bit, like play ball with your partner a little bit to give them the sense of the feeling. And I've been hitting that hard the last couple of classes. Mr. Drescher made the excellent analogy of like trying to, you have the best fishing rod that money can buy, best training, but you're in the desert. Like you're not gonna catch a fish, man. The condition is not right. And so for the Uke to help, so because we need that, I try to go, okay, forget the Uke for an
It's
hour.
out of the picture.
Yeah.
I think that was beneficial, especially when you have different sized partners today.
Yes.
We're more equally aligned, but his pull on me, sometimes I get stuck and I can't pull back the way they think and I should react, so they can't get the upward pull,
Yeah.
so you eliminated that, so I think that's.
In the same way that Kazushi should be like, let's say you're doing a forward throw, you go backward, forward, but it shouldn't be backward, then forward, it's back forward. It's just that boom, down, up, boom, and as they're on the way up, catch them. In the same way that you move someone sideways, and as they move sideways, you sweep them with the yashi. Well, you pop them down as they come up, right up the middle. And that's not the only way it can be done, but that's a way. Any other questions?